Christmas is in the air in different forms for different people. And I'm reminding you that you can tune into our sister station, Sweet 100.1 FM, to provide the soundtrack for your season. But we're very happy to be joined by Karleen Gooding-Christo. She is the founder of Karleen's Goodies, and we are diving down all in the cake batter this evening. Now, Karleen, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Question though, how long have you been baking and making things in the kitchen?
As a business or like?
Well, we want to know the history and then we get into the business.
Since like a very tender age of about probably 12, I used to bake with my granny. Yeah.
Best kind of person to learn from, and that will lead me to a question a little later in the conversation. But Karleen's Goodies, how did you start Karleen's Goodies?
Karleen's Goodies was actually started by my husband and I. Well, he prompted it actually. I work full time, and he had asked me one day, because I would be very flustered after work, and he asked me one day, what do you really like doing? At that time, we weren't married, we were just courting. And I said, if I tell you, please don't laugh, but I love to bake. And I baked a cake for him. And after that, it was history.
And this is where I want to jump in and say, that is man. But in terms of those recipes, because you spoke about, and I say that because you talking about please don't laugh, and there being that level of support where you are at a point now where you are wearing a jersey that is branded Karleen's Goodies. That talks about development and evolution. So we're saying big ups to your husband as well. But
yes.
In terms of those recipes, because you said tender age 12 and learning to cook from granny, where do you get those recipes from?
I originally started the sponge and the fruit was from my granny, yes. But what I do now is actually from my husband's aunt. When he loves Christmas, he loves black cake. And I told him, plain out, my black cake isn't like your aunt. And he said, okay, we'll fix that. And he took me to his aunt. She told me, just come with your ingredients. And he took me to his aunt on a Saturday. And the rest was history again after that. I got the recipe from her. And the sponge actually was developed over a period of time. I tweaked different stuff. I substituted different things. And I now have the sponge that I have.
And that makes me want to ask the question, because learning to cook by granny and great aunts and these kind of things can be interesting sometimes, because like we were talking a little bit before, sometimes it feels as though it's the spirits guiding them, because you're not seeing anything really measuring, and
No.
they just put, and then they stop, and they say, see what to do? And you'll be like, what?
What?
So how did you develop your levels and say, okay, well, I need to use this amount of this, that amount of that?
Okay, so I went the first time with my granny. I actually let her show me what to do, and then we would let her measure out her measurements, and then I would remeasure. So when I went for my husband's aunt, she did the same thing, throw in flour, a spoon of this, 2 spoons of that, let's do a drop of this, a drop of that. And I was like, what's going on here? So after she did all of that, I while she was doing it, actually, I let her put it into a separate bowl, and then I took my measuring cups and I remeasured, and I was writing down my recipe. So I have like on a copybook page, I have like her recipe with her 2 spoons, a drop of this or that, and then I have my recipe on the side, which is in cups and tablespoons and teaspoons measurements.
You're going to frame those pieces of paper anytime soon?
Pardon?
You're going to frame those pieces of paper anytime soon, because those recipes are like treasures, huh?
They are. You should see the page. The page so tattered and torn from touching it with batter, and it's thick and dry. It just, yeah.
But talk to me though, because you mentioned some of the things you do, but still at the same time, give me an idea of some of the goods and services that you would bake, that you would provide, and that you have on offer. Because I was looking at the Instagram page, and I had to wipe my mouth a little bit, but let me get it from your mouth now. What are those things that you provide?
Well, I basically didn't want to stay in the realm of cakes. I love sweets, I love desserts, and I try my best to broaden my knowledge on anything dessert-wise and out of the ordinary. So I was always fascinated with cake pops, but I always found it to be not enough in a bite. So I started doing cakesicles, which is much more when you bite. I do cakesicles, I do a lot of muffins, a lot of cupcakes. On my page, you will see some of the things being repeated because that's what customers like. They love carrot, they love red velvet. I do gourmet cakes. The base is actually sponge, but persons, whatever they ask for, I try to provide. I am not shy. I Besides the cakesicles and cake pops, I do a lot of novelty cakes because birthdays aren't ordinary anymore. Persons want it to be very unique to them. So
No, but don't
yeah.
say it like that though, Karleen. Just say I do a lot of novelty cakes, and hopefully we can get a shot of the Lysol cake. I mean, what is that about?
Oh, yes. Oh, that's one of my very loyal customers, and every year she takes a cake. And this year, because of the COVID-19 and not being able to celebrate the birthday with everyone as usual, the um, the person requested a Lysol cake to represent the COVID-19 pandemic that we were experiencing.
So we're looking at the scenes as though the person almost even social distancing with regard to the food that they're doing.
Yes, yes. And that cake was actually, a lot was my husband. He did the edible print that made it come to life going around like that.
But I need to ask, how is that done? Because I see some people that draw, they're very good artists. Some people do prints. And what's the process in getting that done?
So that's an edible print. So we have edible sheets. And I don't handle that aspect of it. I do the cakes. I tell him what I want, and he does that part. So he gets the image, prints it onto this edible sheet, and then I take it and apply it onto the cake.
All right, now,
it's something that you could peel and work with.
Now, everybody can have a little different taste. You were talking about the story about the black cake, but I didn't ask you, what did your husband's auntie say about yours?
She was actually very shocked and very pleased. Like my mother-in-law, the first time she tasted it, she said, "Oh my gosh, Karleen, you have Miss Gemma's cake here. This is Miss Gemma." Her name is Gemma, Auntie Gemma. She said, "You have it. This is Auntie Gemma cake here." Because every time I have extras, I put it in the cake dish. If she passes and she sees, she'll slice, and it's like, "You hit it. You get it, Karleen. That's it. That's Miss Gemma cake."
I don't need it. I guess you don't need anything else after that. When you have the original, the OG saying, yes, you get it. You have my blessing. You learned well. But what are some of the things that you get from other, some of the feedback that you'd get from other consumers, people who are trying your hand and saying, okay, well, this is something that I want to see if I can run with?
You mean the fruitcake, or you mean with the fruitcake?
I think generally, but also the black cake, because it seems as though everybody, there's a certain thing that they look for in the black cake. Some people look for the balance in terms of alcohol to fruits. Some people look and see how much moist it is, because you don't want to be biting the cake and coughing dust. So what's some of the feedback that you get from other individuals?
I have my customers, my loyal customers that keep coming back, are absolutely pleased with the fact that they see whole fruits, that the fruits aren't lost within the batter, that they actually get a moist cake and fruit in every bite. Again, a trick I learned from Miss Gemma.
Hey, big up Miss Gemma. We call in the name and doing it in a positive way. We might call it again on the other half of this conversation, but stay with us. We are speaking with Karleen Gooding-Christo of Karlee's Goodies. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are speaking with Karleen Gooding-Christo of Karlee's Goodies, and I want to know how I can move Karleen from seeing something on Instagram and say, that looked nice, I wonder how I could get some, to actually ordering having the purchase go through and having a box in my hand? Because I see it's very nicely boxed in cardboard boxes, boxes that look as though they're environmentally friendly. So you can also speak about that choice of boxing as well.
Yes, I stayed in that area, and especially because of the eco-friendly environment. I did not want to do it. I don't deal with plastics. All of my boxes, all of my cakes are boxed in those cardboard boxes, because I know after a cake is delved into, it's the packaging is just thrown away. And I mean, too much plastic is really not good for the environment. So,
And the way we're hearing about it anyhow, as soon as it cuts, it's almost as though it's a single serve. You see, like you have single-use plastics, it's a single-use box. But how do we look at it on IG or some of the other platforms to ordering to getting? What's the process of doing that?
Okay, so on the Instagram page, I have my telephone contact there. I reply to the direct messages, as well as any message that comes through on Facebook. The Instagram and Facebook handle is Karleen's Goodies, the same name. And persons that are interested, they can call through, they can WhatsApp, they can send a message. I reply as soon as I can. I try to do it within the same hour. If not, my husband is there as well. He's an admin on the page. And persons that are interested, I do have an account number that they can make bank transfers, or if they would like to meet up and make the payment upon collection, it's fine. My husband does the deliveries for me. So it doesn't matter where you are, we are coming to you. It's not a problem.
And that makes me ask the question, how has the business flow been during the pandemic? Did you have to change things radically? And if so, what were they?
Actually, the pandemic affected the business quite positively. One thing I did notice is that whether or not a gathering had to be 5, or whether or not they didn't want persons gathering, persons celebrated birthdays, anniversaries, baptisms, you name it, weddings, with a cake. So it was quite positive. It didn't falter. The only thing we had to do actually though was request that persons make payments via bank transfers. And just to secure your spot, because a lot of orders were coming in.
Yes, so, and tell me about those orders. Do you still have time? Because I know some people have already said, that's it, I finish, I take all the orders that I can for Christmas. What is the process like? You still have a little space? People who are now looking and seeing and finding out, can they still make those orders?
I have a little space. I have a little space, yes. I have a little space. I am quite accommodating. I try my best. I know everybody. Some people are very busy and it slips them, but I am accommodating and I will try my best to assist anyone.
I think
Not too last minute.
No, I think you told me already, but remind me though, you do savories as well?
Yes, I do. I have tried it for home, actually, not for sale for other persons, and it was quite the response was okay home, but I've never had any requests for it. I had a customer wanted a tea box, and I had to do savory and sweet for him, and after that I didn't.
All right, but so if we ask that question again, like in 2 days, you're gonna say you're still in research and development.
Pardon?
And if we ask that question like about 2 days, you'll say that you're still in research and development before you get to the savories.
No.
But what is your biggest seller though? Because we saw an image of some of those things that you offer, and yes, we see the whole fruits that are there. But what are some of the things that you find people say, okay, I want those?
The cheesecake, my cheesecake, my cakesicles, carrot, and red velvet.
Nice. Now,
in
terms of moving, because you said that there's a full-time job, but you're also doing this to a level of professionalism, what would you tell somebody who is wondering, you know, I want to do this, and I want to do it a little more than it just being a hobby. What kind of advice, in terms of from your experience, would you give to that person?
Okay, so if it is your passion and it is something that you go to bed thinking about and it is on your mind right through and all the time, and all you want to do is just bake and make cakes, and this is what makes you happy, just do that and that alone, and that will just be satisfying in itself. Some persons aren't able to due to financial constraints. They have a job and they do this, but once it is possible for you to just do this and not have a job, do it, because once it is within you, that's your passion, that's all I think about actually. I don't know how I get through the day on work because all I think about is cake and cake.
Well, I also want to ask, how important is it to have that supportive partner with you on the journey, as opposed to, I try to talk to her about breakfast, all she talking about is cake, you know. So how important is that to you?
It is very important. Karlee's Goodies would not be the success it is today without the support of my husband. He plays a very integral part in it. He is the person that got all the equipment and learned how to do the different edible prints, toppers, everything you see unique on those cakes that is not batter and frosting. He is the person doing that. He assists and he holds down the fort home wise. So yeah, it's very important to have that support.
And I'm trying not to go on because I'm trying to actually lift myself to those lofty ideals and standards as well. But in terms of moving forward, if you said, okay, well, Karlee's Goodies, we want it to grow, what are some of the things that you're looking at to say possibly you want to improve on or you want to include in the serving or the offerings that you do?
I have always wanted to have, I don't know if it's something that's probably possible, but I've always wanted to have a storefront so that I could showcase everything. As it is, I go based on orders, what a person would want, you know, unique to you. If you just would like to have a dozen cakesicles, a dozen cake pops, you just want to have some cupcakes. But I would like to showcase everything because that is not the only type of desserts, you know, that I would like to show everything. Having a storefront would be ideal for me.
All right, so we're looking out for that. So this is the 17th of December 2020. So we're looking and we keep in check. But thank you very much, Karleen, for spending some time with us. We want to thank you, your husband, Auntie Gemma, and everyone involved in Karlee's Goodies. Thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Definitely our pleasure. And on behalf of the entire team, we want to thank you for joining us this evening. I'm DK Roster. Have a good night.